So let us dance this night away.
Hello and welcome to a new video. I hope everybody is doing well. So today's video is my January wrap up of all the books I read in January. This is, oh god, this is the pile here. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books in January, which is not bad. And yeah, it was a sort of good month. There were no 5-star reads, unfortunately, but let's get into it. So the first book of the year, or the first book of 2023 that I read, was This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. Sorry if I butchered that. This is the Illumicrate. This is the Illumicrate edition, so it is basically a naked hardcover, complete redesign, with these gorgeous sprayed edges on there. It is completely different to the original cover, which I shall put up here for you so you can see the difference. I wanted to give this 3.5 stars. But I can only give it 4 on Goodreads. It was good. It was very slow going, and then obviously with most books I'm tending to find at the moment, I don't know whether this is just me in general, but yeah, it just kind of sped up towards the end and just exploded. And at some points it was a bit fantastical in places where I was going like, really? But overall I enjoyed the writing. I do like a very wordy book, and it was sort of pulled me in that way. The main characters, you've got Eliza and Cameron. Eliza's pretty badass. She's had a tough time of it, bless her. Cameron is, I think you love to hate him because he is a prince, typically spoiled, macho man kind of thing, but he also seems to have a good heart. So he annoys me, or he annoyed me at times, but then there are other times where I was like, yeah, he's sweet, bless him. But I'm just gonna have a look at my Goodreads review again. So my Goodreads review was not quite sure what to make of this book. I have 4 stars, but really it's 3.5. It was painfully slow going, and in typical fashion with most plots it sped up at super speed towards the end, although some of it got quite fantastical and had me going, really? That said, I did enjoy the writing. I do love a wordy read. The dynamic between Eliza and Cameron is fun. It is, actually, because he loves to goad her and wind her up, and she just falls for it every time, which is kind of like how I am sometimes. Like, to wind me up is not always a good thing. Witty, sarcastic retorts back and forth, which I love, and the deep connection they feel for each other as well, which was nice. I gotta say, I'm rooting for Kaliza. There are a few twists and turns, but I gotta say, I saw the last one coming, which, yeah, I did. Some were a bit of a shock as well. The first one mostly, which is towards the end. I did get suspicious of one character at one point, but I can't remember which one that was now. All in all, it was okay. Not sure if I'd reread, but I would kind of like to read the second book. Question is, do I get the Fairy Loot edition or stick with an ebook? Well, past self, I can answer that question. not Fairy Loot, Illumicrate had their pre-sale for the second book, which I purchased. Because I thought, well, I gotta have the matching one to this. I'll read it. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's just a duology, but we shall see. But yeah. So, first book of the year, rated 3.5 stars /4. however you want to see it. I'll read the synopsis for you in case my whole description of it all was just too confusing for you. To all the world, Eliza is a disposable servant, not the long-lost heir to an ancient Jin kingdom, forced to hide in plain sight. The Crown Prince Kamran has heard the prophecies foretelling the death of his king, but he could never have imagined that the servant girl with the strange eyes, the girl he can't put out of his mind, would one day soon uproot his kingdom and the world. So yeah, it's a Jin magic fantasy, which I'm hoping the second book's going to go more into the Jin side of things, because yeah. The next book I read after this Woven Kingdom was These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This was gifted to me by the lovely Xiao, because she said that it is one of her favourite series. She's really enjoyed reading it, and she hopes that I enjoy reading it as well. I have heard a lot of things where some people sort of compare this to Akata or A Court of Thorn and Roses. I'm not there yet. I enjoyed the book, and it was a lot. I think this sort of goes more into the Seelie and Unseelie fairy side of things, which I guess this would be my first dip into that kind of fairy, because I'm more used to like A Court of Thorns and Roses, like Sarah J Maas fairies. So this was interesting to read from a different, not perspective, but yeah, type. So you have your typical fairies with what is it, superstitions and you know, like wear your tights backwards, things like that kind of thing. I don't think that's in this one, but yeah, don't drink the wine because it will make you go, like if you're a human, it will make you basically dance all night until you die kind of thing. Yeah, overall I did enjoy it. I have pre-ordered the second book, which is These Twisted Bonds. It is out already in hardback, but I don't really want to buy another hardback again when I've got the paperback, so I'll just wait for the paperback to come out, which I think will be in the summer. But I'll read you the synopsis. Bree would do anything before making a deal with the Fae. Death is better than their vicious schemes, but when her sister is taken by the sadistic king of the Unseelie, Bree breaks her own rules and agrees to steal 3 magical relics from the rival Seelie court in exchange for her sister's return. Bree's only way inside is to pose as a potential bride for the Seelie Prince Ronan, a prince who's not quite as wicked as she once thought. Unwilling to let her heart distract her, she accepts help from a band of misfits with their own secret agenda. But as Bree spends time with their mysterious leader, Finn, she finds herself struggling to resist his seductive charm. Caught between 2 dangerous courts, Bree must decide who to trust with her loyalty and with her heart. So reading that back again, things have come back to me. I'm quite bad when it comes to absorbing and remember things. Just remembering things in general. But yeah, I remember the whole Ronan, Finn. It is one of those triangles where you're not quite sure who you want to root for, and remembering the end of this book as well, I remember going, whoa, like damn. Yeah, which is why I pre-ordered the second book, because I need to know what happens next. Oh, let's see what my review says, shall we? So, wow, that ending, was not expecting that. I wasn't sure about this book at first, the constant back and forth and trust issues it gave me. Oh yeah, it did give me trust issues, this book. Who's good, who's bad, but weren't they good, aren't they supposed to be good? Yeah, it was just too much back and forth in that kind of sense. I did get a bit confused reading this, which is probably why I should start annotating, which I'm still in 2 minds about that as well, because I can't write in a book. I just can't, no. But I enjoyed the story and getting to know the characters. I don't quite know who I'm rooting for in this triangle, because like I said, it was confusing at times, but I definitely want to read the second book. So not the best review, probably because, yeah, maybe I was still confused at the time as to what to make of it all. Yeah, this was, I gave this one 4 stars. So then after these Hollow Vows, I read The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna, which is the second book in the Gilded Ones series. The first book was called The Gilded Ones. I think the series is called The Gilded Ones. Yeah. This is a Waterstones exclusive edition with the sprayed edges and the foil. Where's the other one? So this is the first one, the Gilded Ones, foil, sprayed edges. I really enjoyed reading this one. It was very gripping, and at times quite but I really did enjoy this one. The Gilded Ones is about Deka. I think it's Deka they say, or I read it as Deka, but I think it's Deka, because it is West African inspired. Basically she is a young girl, and in her universe, when girls come of age, they have to go through a purity type ceremony, which basically tests their blood, and if it runs red, then they're fine, they're normal, but if it runs gold, it's a bad thing, because that means that she is impure, and she is a demon. So it starts basically with her being worried about going through the ceremony, or ritual, yeah, ceremony, but before she can, her village is attacked by death shrieks. Death shrieks are basically, death shrieks are these kind of monsters that are attacking villages all around the world. Yeah. Basically killing people, and they are kind of like the bane of the existence. There's an emperor, and he has an army that's basically trying to fight them, kill them, and, you know, protect the people. So yeah, the village is attacked by the death shrieks, and Deka is basically scared like everybody else, running around, and she basically says something to one of these death shrieks. She goes, "Stop!" and it just stops, and the whole village sees, which stuns them, and basically the next thing she knows, she's in a cellar, captive, because her blood has run gold. So all the villagers are scared of her, and yeah, it's not good what happens to her. After a while, a character called White Hands comes along and basically takes her away. She works for the emperor, and any person that basically their blood runs gold, they have to join the emperor's army, and they're known as the Gilded Ones. No, they're not. And yeah, they basically have to join the emperor's army, and train and help fight against the death streaks, because they have this kind of inhuman ability in them. They've got these powers, super strength and stuff, which, you know, they can, makes them strong to, yeah, kill the death streaks. So basically Deka goes and trains, makes friends, all hell breaks loose. There's a big twist in it at the end, and this is where we come into the Merciless Ones. And this is basically after what's happened at the end of book 1. Oh, sorry, my foot's going dead. After what happened at the end of the Gilded Ones, Deka is basically adjusting to a new life. She's trying to learn about her position, her role that she's now learnt about, and she's just trying to navigate that while also trying to thwart her enemy. and it's a whole lot of things that she learns, lots of twists and turns. And again, with this one, I did think to myself at the beginning, who she's with, like the mothers, are they good? Is this going to be one of those things where it does a switcheroo kind of thing, and the good guys are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys? But overall, I thought this was just going to be a duology, but no, it's not. There's going to be a third book, which I haven't pre-ordered because it's not ready. I think it's out next year, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. I'll read the synopsis for you. Skip ahead though if you haven't read the first one, but if you have and you want to know what the synopsis is for the second one. It's been 6 months since Dika freed the goddesses in the ancient kingdom of Otera and discovered who she really is. But war is waging across the kingdom, and the real battle has only just begun, for there is a dark force growing in Otera, a merciless power that Dika and her army must stop. Yet hidden secrets threaten to destroy everything Dika has known, and her own gifts changing. And with her own gifts changing, Dika must discover if she holds the key to saving Otera, or if she might be its greatest threat. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading this one. I didn't give it a 5-star, I gave it a 4-star. So here's my review on Goodreads. Wow, what an ending. Part of me knew where this was going, although I'll admit I didn't think there would be another book, but I'm glad there will be. In the aftermath of freeing the mothers, we come to discover what Dika and her friends have been doing. Then she's given an important mission to carry out, but as always it goes sideways. But in a good way, as she's now discovering things about herself and what happened in the past. Her growth on this journey, while slow, is a powerful one. Dealing with the PTSD and trauma she's faced, as well as all her friends as well, dealing with the same. She's really grown and come into herself, and I can't wait for the rest of her to be revealed. I love the dynamic of her group of friends, the love and the closeness and the new friendships emerging. Regardless of gods, powers, etc., love really can conquer all. Right, off I go to see when book 3 is going to be released. So yeah, I did enjoy this one, 4 stars. Can't wait to read the third one. So after the Merciless Ones, I did a buddy read with the lovely Jen of The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And again, this has been sitting on my shelf for so long. I actually have the box set. But yeah, just Jen was like, shall we do a buddy read? And I was like, hell yeah, because I've been wanting to do a buddy read, and I'd actually been thinking I'd love to do a buddy read with someone, and then boom, I manifested it. So yeah, we decided to start this one. I really enjoyed the buddy read. It was fun just chatting away with our theories, questions, etc. So yeah, Jen, if you're watching, thank you for that. I really enjoyed it. But The Cruel Prince is all over TikTok, all over the book-ish universe. And I wanted to know what all the hype was about, because everybody seems to love on this series. I did think to myself, what is so, like, I was waiting to find out what everybody loved so much about this book, but I think it must be the series as a whole, because it was, again, slow going, and towards the end it was just pop, 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 pop going off, which is really good. Basically, this is The Cruel Prince. It is a fairy, sealy, unseely again, so it's my second sealy kind of fairy book, and this one is proper traditional superstitious fairies. This is the one where, yeah, you put your tights on backwards and you do, like, turn around in circles and do this to kind of offset that, which I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest with you, because it's just too silly for me. I am a bit of a serious person, but it's fine. It's not the whole premise of the book to be that, and I enjoyed this overall. I paused because I don't know if I'm doing this good or not, if I say my own synopsis or if I just read, because I feel like when I do it myself I'm not explaining it very well. So do you know what, I'm just going to carry on with the whole what's on the back of the book. One terrible morning, Jude and her sisters see their parents murdered in front of them. The fearsome assassin abducts all three girls and brings them to the world of fairy. Mocked and tormented for being merely mortal, June soon realises that to survive in the treacherous, dangerous world of the royal court, she needs to be as cunning and deceitful as the Fae themselves. But the stairway to power is fraught with shadows and betrayal, and looming over all is the arrogant and charismatic Prince Cardan. It's not like the biggest description for the plot, but hey ho. It was enjoyable, as always. Okay, I'm gonna go for my review because I think I've got on there. Okay, so my review from Goodreads. I kept trying to work out why this book is so well loved. I'm still trying to figure it out after finishing. It was an enjoyable read, especially towards the end. Jude is a character I can respect, and I never really said that about... Jude is a character I can respect, and I've never said that about any character in a book that I've read. Like, I do have mad respect for her and what she did. She's not only ballsy, she's smart, calculated, and has a good heart. Cardan is your typical male character who comes across as a cad and not nice, but you know deep down it's a facade. I hope. Winky face. One thing I found reading this, up to part 2, is how childlike, is how childlike the writing came across. I constantly felt at times like I was reading about a 12-year-old and not a young woman. Part 1 read so much like being in school, the bullying and such. The whole, well, they're only mean to you because it means they like you, chestnut. But once we hit book 2, it felt like the plot and the writing had leveled up and I was reading it how it should be read. Yeah, so I remember saying to Jen that I feel like I'm reading about a 12-year-old girl. It's just so... Like when you're reading about the Fantastic Five, Enid Blyton books with the kids that are just going in like all kind of no fear and just silly. You just wouldn't do that in real life kind of thing. But yeah, it read like that. But then once we hit part 2, it did feel like it was more in line with a YA book and the age of the character that you were reading about, which I think she's like 17 or 19, one of those. I love the Court of Shadows. It reminds me a little of Six of Crows. I also love the court politics and intrigue, the dynamics of spying and planning. I do love a well executed plan. I'm looking forward to reading The Wicked King to see how this story progresses. Yeah, I did like all the court intrigue politics. I know a lot of people don't like that kind of thing, but I actually don't mind it. Like all the scheming and how plans come about, and then if there's any twists and turns in the plan as well, which I love. And the Court of Shadows, yeah, I love those guys. I hope we see more of them in the second book. But I rated this one 4 stars. So throughout the whole reading of physical books, I actually got quite into audio. I was listening to A Court of Thorns and Roses. I was reading the... I can't remember her name, but it's just the one narrator. I tried to listen to the audio last year, but I couldn't, because I really found it hard to listen to, even the second time around. Jennifer Ikeda, I think that's her name. Oh, she's terrible. I hate the whole one narrator that does all the voices, even the male voices, and it changes, and it's just like cringy. But I persevered, and once I got past that, I could get more into the story. I mean, this is my favorite series of all time. I absolutely love this. so to listen to the audio was great. My rule for audio is I will only listen to books that I have read. I don't want to listen to books I haven't read. I'd rather experience that through physical book form, and then if I love it I will listen to the audio, which I'm hoping and planning to do with Kingdom of the Wicked. But going back to this one, yeah, it was really hard to get through, and it's kind of almost boring with the whole reading about, you know, being in Tamlin's court, stuff like that. It got better once she went under the mountain, and I was just wrapped, and I wanted to listen to more and more and more. So yeah, that was also listened to in January. I did start listening to it before though. I was listening to it in December, maybe. I can't remember when I started, but it took me a long time to finish. I am listening to Akamath at the moment, or Court Mr. Fury, and that one I'm just breezing through, so yeah. And then the last book I read in January was The Luminaries, and I did really enjoy this book. So this is it's The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. This is the Illumicrate exclusive edition, which is just stunning, and the spreads are just so pretty. And this is published by Daphne Press, and this is the first book that they published this year as well, and it was a good book to start with, put it that way. Hemlock Falls isn't like other towns. You won't find it on the map, but your phone won't work here, and the forest outside town might just kill you. Winnie Wednesday wants nothing more than to join the Luminaries, the ancient order that protects Winnie's town and the rest of humanity from the monsters and nightmares that rise in the forest of Hemlock Falls every night. Okay. Ever since her father was exposed as a witch and a traitor, Winnie and her family have been shunned, but on her 16th birthday she can take the deadly Luminary Hunter trials and prove herself true and loyal and restore her family's good name, or die trying. But in order to survive, Winnie must enlist the help of the one person who can train her, Jay Friday, resident bad boy and Winnie's ex-best friend. While Jay might be the most promising new hunter in Hemlock Falls, he also seems to know more about the nightmares of the forest than he should. Together he and Winnie will discover a danger lurking in the forest no one in Hemlock Falls is prepared for. Not all monsters can be slain, and not all nightmares are confined to the dark. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I just have to show you again this edition, the naked hardcover. Oh, it's beautiful. It's the Nightmare Compendium, which is basically, in the book, it is the guide to all the nightmares that are in the forest, or that come out of the forest at night time. But yeah, this book is just stunning. After I read it, I posted about it on Instagram, and I was like, I need to talk to someone because I have so many questions. Because yeah, again, it was sort of like a slow burn. Obviously Winnie's going through all these trials to kind of get out of being shunned, and so it goes through her experiencing trying to train, etc, etc, and then obviously towards the end it gets going again, or it just, yeah, comes out. And throughout, I think I kind of basically guessed a few things. I have theories for others, and if anybody has read this, enjoyed it, and wants to talk theories, then send me a message, comment below. We won't do spoilers, but yeah, do you have the same theories as me? Overall, let's see, what did I say in my review? I ended up quite enjoying this book. It gets 4 stars because there are little gripes I have and understandings. Oh god. Winnie Wednesday is an outcast, as is her entire family, Mum and Darian, all because her dad turned out to be a Diana. Now Winnie feels the need to prove herself to become a hunter and release her family from the stigma of her father. To do that, she has to complete 3 trials and venture into the forest to literally face nightmares. Creatures created by mist and some sleeping spirit, Firstly, I have to admit that the whole spirit thing has me confused. we're told what they are and what they do, but it's really the basic of descriptions, unless I didn't read that part properly. Secondly, I think more could have been explained or dealt with rather than certain parts that could have been a bit quicker. Cryptic, I know, but I'm not a fan of spoiler reviews. But yeah, there are parts that aren't explained or dealt with, and I don't know whether that's part of the plot overall, like all the series. But yeah, there were parts that could have just been left out, and you could have just gone a bit more into the spirits maybe, I don't know. That being said, overall it's a good book and it has mystery in there. I like how there are some, oh yeah, there are illustrations in the book as well, which I really liked. So let's see if I can find one for you. Here we go. We're creatures. So this will be a page from the compendium, and it basically reads as a description, but also I think what's in Winnie's head. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing those. Winnie is a force to be reckoned with, but also still a child at heart, trying to navigate school while also trying to become a hunter and deal with being an outcast. The girl's got gumption. I will say I saw two things coming, one that's sort of confirmed at the end, and another that I'm yet waiting to be confirmed, but think it was also there. Haha, cryptic much. Oh, and I have two more theories, which again has not been confirmed. I'm not sure how many books this will be, but I'm looking forward to the next, if only to get answers. I also wish I had someone to talk to about my theories. Overall, a good book that I would recommend if you like hunter style books with monsters. It gave me small supernatural vibes. Yeah, it did. It gave me supernatural vibes, but also I don't know if anyone else felt this, but for me, when I was reading it and envisioning Hemlock Falls and things like that, it made me think of Twilight and the whole forest thing. So the forest in Twilight is how I imagine the forest in the Luminaries, and I don't know, maybe the slight colour as well that it was filmed in. But yeah. So those were all the books I read in January. Have you read any of them? What do you guys think? Do any of them interest you? Comment below, let's get a conversation going. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.